Welcome back to this special Inside Iraq from Amman, Jordan. We are discussing national reconciliation. Millions of Iraqis voted with their feet, leaving the country to Amman and to Syria and to other places. Most of them do not think they should go back. Dr. Saleh, more than 4 million Iraqis have fled Iraq. More than 2 million are internally displaced in Iraq. Haider al-Abadi says improvement in security. Should they go back?
Well, I think they should go back, but in reality, they cannot go back with this security, and they cannot go back without finding any job. The economic situation now in Iraq, although we have $48 billion, but nobody can see anything with regards to creating job in the country. People who are flooding now or going back from Syria or Jordan back to Iraq, it's not because life is excellent there. It's because they get fed up of being outside Iraq.
And their money ran out.
And their money ran out. And also the regulation of these countries which imposed on them. So they feel, you know, they would have to go back, and they know that there is a risk. And you know very well that, you know, one of the journalists was killed. His family were killed, and 11 of them were killed just because he has a site on the internet which says some of the truth.
Haider al-Abadi, conditions are not ripe yet for national reconciliation. The figure saying that those who have started to trickle back to Iraq, they are not going to their neighborhoods, they are not going to the homes they were in, especially if they happen to be in a mixed neighborhood, Sunnis and Shias. They are going simply because they have no other choice. And you're telling me security is improving?
Well, I think Iraqis, they love their countries, and they see their countries as the best country in the world, and they will grasp the first opportunity possible to go back to their country, and that's what's happening. I'm not saying our country is perfect at the moment. It isn't. There are still problems, and we are solving them. And security is going to improve even greater over time. And this is, I think, is a positive contribution, and we should look at it like that. We have to look at this comparatively. If you compare the situation now, 6 months earlier, is a much more improvement. At the moment, as I say, people are moving in Baghdad in the evening. I pay tribute to your TV team here, who now is approaching 8:30 in the evening, and they're going to cross to the other side of Baghdad from Rafah to Karkh in the evening, which shows very much how Baghdad has improved. And the security situation in Baghdad has drastically become much, much better.
Dr. Haider al-Abadi, thank you.
Perhaps wouldn't risk the life of their team. Yeah.
Perhaps there is another explanation. Most of the killing has been done, and there isn't much to be killed. Only 15% of the original inhabitants, they remaining in their neighborhoods. Go ahead, Doctor. You have a question?
In appropriate dialogue, the opponent, they emphasize on the positive and negative points in the situation, specifically when we are talking about political situation. All what we hear here are a negative attitude. So how you could make reconciliation with such negative attitude? You have to emphasize there are progress, there are mistakes. You have to take for the whole Iraqi people. Don't talk for the majority or the minority.
How do you break this cycle, Hatem, without identifying the problems and look them right in the eye, say, this is wrong, this cannot be, this has to be eliminated. Otherwise, if you draw a rosy picture, nothing is going to change.
Well, absolutely, but I think the problem is the problem is with the government. And the ordinary people, like I said, need services. And if we just, instead of clashing with this reconciliation business, if we just circumvent it, and we go not positive, not negative. We go and provide services for the people. And service number one is security, not segregation, not putting people in those concentration camps. Yes, there is some progress, but this progress is really just not seen. It's a way. We need to have positive steps, a government that's going to serve the people. Where are the hospitals? Where are the paved streets? Where is the security? Where is... So we need schooling.
Let me take another questions. Go ahead, please.
I am Jordanian diplomat. I am not Iraqi. I don't want to say some parties of Iraq doing something wrong or right. I'd like to advise, and the Iraqi people close to our hearts, since we were born and my grandparents born. I love everybody as Iraqi, as neighboring. They did a very good thing for us in Arab-Israeli wars since 1948. We owe them. We are doing our best to help, but to help a kind of leadership in Iraq. I am missing a leadership representing all Iraqis. Some leadership representing Sunni, some Shi'i, some Kurdi. We in Jordan missing a leadership representing the whole Iraqi.
I thank you very much for these sentiments. I thank you for the advice. Let me take another question. Go ahead, please.
Wasn't it proper for Iraqi government to focus about providing a secure environment and job offers for the Iraqi young generation than for Iraqis to reconciliate? Because personally, I think the unemployment case we're facing is the main cause that Iraqi young people are joining all the militias and all the tension accompanying this case.
Go ahead, Hassan Bazaz.
Well, we go back to square one and we are talking about reconciliation. And I think there is one prerequisite condition to have a reconciliation is that you should think in a policy of handshaking and not arms twisting. And what is happening now is we are doing the arms twisting, as it's been mentioned by my friend Al-Abadi, talking about minority and majority, talking about a real constitution, talking about a real security inside Iraq. Talking in this way, I don't think you're giving the right picture. I don't think you could build on that. And therefore, we think we should really face reality and speak the reality fully.
For an hour, we've been talking about national reconciliation, and we touched about several issues. By raising your hands, tell me whether you think this American enterprise in Iraq since 2003 was liberation or a classic conquest of occupation. Raise your hands. Is it liberation? Is it occupation? I don't anybody think you can doctor this image. Haider Al-Abadi, Salih Al-Mutlaq mentioned in passing the resistance. Let me pose it to you. Is there a legitimate Iraqi national resistance? The Americans, they call it insurgency.
Well, most Iraqis are resistant to occupation, are resistant to the existence of foreign troops on their land. Unfortunately, we want to get rid of the previous regime very badly, but we ended up having occupation on our land. We didn't want to have occupation. Iraqis have not been consulted to be occupied by foreign troops, but that's what happened. We have to get rid of it. We have to be united. We have to have national reconciliation to gain back our country, and that is what we are doing very, very, very seriously. We are talking about facts and reality here. I think some people may like to see Iraq in a different view, but this is the land of Iraq with all its wrongs and rights, but we have to put our hands in each other and rebuild the country, and we can do it. We have passed a very difficult time.
Right now, Salih Al-Mutlaq, let me ask this question. Right now, a Politburo for the national Iraqi resistance has been established. It's seeking perhaps a dialogue with the Iraqi government. What would be the parameter in order to start this dialogue and include the legitimate Iraqi national resistance? And we are not talking here about Al-Qaeda, and we are not talking about criminals and thugs who are all over Iraq.
First, the government has to accept the legitimacy of this council and this resistance. And I think all of us should be proud that the Iraqis resist, as my brother Haider said, resist the occupation, and this is part of the criteria and the image of the Iraqis.
Let me take a quick response also from...
Just let me finish.
Go ahead.
Please. I would like to talk to my brother Haider. And this government cannot build because cannot end sectarianism, and sectarianism is a problem in Iraq because originally it was designed
you just
in a sectarian way.
You just echoed what the top military American commander said. Our biggest problem in Iraq is the current Iraqi government. Before we close this show, by raising your hands, Have you come to the conclusion, have you changed your mind, national reconciliation is a possibility? Who believes national reconciliation is a possibility? Who believes that we are decades away from, right now, from national reconciliation? Haider al-Abadi, before and after, the poll remains the same. People are skeptics. Why do you think that is?
Well, perception and the wrong media. And I think some of these programs, they contribute to giving the wrong perception of what's happening in Iraq. They don't concentrate on the positive sides in Iraq. There are many, many positive sides, but they're only interested in the blood and the killing.
Why don't you tell us what the positive sides are? Show it to us. New York Times writes about you. Washington Post writes about you. CNN shows you up. BBC shows you up. Look at Basra. Look at the women in Basra. BBC had a complete program on them, as well as CNN. Is that what the positive side is? Is the Constitution,
well,
the article in the Constitution that talks about women, is that what is positive when you took us back not 1,400 years ago, but 5,000 years ago? Is that what is positive?
You asked the question, let him answer. Haider al-Abadi, the wheels are turning backwards.
Well, I disagree. The Constitution is one of the best articles written in recent history. This is by the UN. Even it was said by main personalities by the UN. I disagree. There are wrongs in Iraq. There are wrongs in Iraq. But there are 27 million Iraqis
on that admission, Haider
al-Abadi, instead of the New York Times.
On that strong admission that there are problems with Iraq, Haider al-Abadi, senior political advisor to Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. Thank you very much. Hatem Mukhlis of the Iraqi National Movement. Dr. Hassan Bazzaz, thank you very much. Dr. Salih al-Mutlaq, thank you. We have reached the end of this special Inside Iraq from Amman, Jordan. I hope you will join me next time. Good night.